Arranged marriages and dowries are just basic like slavery for women and girls. I really hate the way that girls and women can be traded into slavery for the benefit of parents. And this took a turn for this mother. She sold her daughter off to marriage, and then the daughter ended up being deleted. This mom, she's jailed for forcing her daughter into a fatal marriage. A mother has become the first person to be jailed under Australia's forced marriage laws for ordering her daughter to wed a man who would later unalive the 21-year-old. Sakina Mohammed Jan, who is in her late 40s, was found guilty of coercing Rukia Haydari to marry 26-year-old Muhammad Ali Halimi in 2019 in exchange for a small payment. 6 weeks after the nuptials, Halimi unalived his new bride, a crime for which he is now serving a life sentence. On Monday, Jan, who pleaded not guilty, was sentenced to at least a year in jail for what a judge called the intolerable pressure she had placed on her daughter. Forced marriage laws were introduced in Australia in 2013 and carry a maximum penalty of 7 years imprisonment. There are several cases pending, but Jan is the first person to be sentenced for the offense. An Afghan Hazara refugee who fled persecution from the Taliban and migrated to regional Victoria with her 5 children in 2013. Jan's lawyers have said she suffers enduring grief over the death of her daughter, but continues to maintain her innocence. The trial heard that Hadari had been forced to enter an unofficial religious marriage at the age of 15, a union that ended after 2 years, and did not want to marry again until she was 27 or 28. She wanted to pursue study and get a job. Judge Fran Dalziel said in her sentencing remarks. While Jan may have believed she was acting in the best interest of her daughter, Mrs. Dalziel said she had repeatedly ignored Haydari's wishes and abused her power as a mother. Haydari would have known that not taking part in the marriage would raise questions about you and the rest of your family. She was concerned not only about your anger, but your standing in the community. Jan was sentenced to 3 years in jail, but may be released after 12 months to serve the rest of her sentence in the community. Afterwards, she sat in court in the court dock and told her lawyer she refused to accept the judge's ruling before eventually being taken away, according to local media. During Halimi's sentencing for Hadari's unaliving in 2021, a court in Western Australia where the couple had lived heard that he had been violent and abusive towards his new wife, forcefully insisting that she undertake household chores. In a statement on Monday, Attorney General Mark Dreyfus described forced marriage as the most reported slavery-like offense in Australia, with 90 cases brought to the attention of federal police in 2023 alone. Successive governments have promised to stamp out the practice, which police say is on the rise. And in May, Australia's parliament voted to create an anti-slavery commissioner to respond to the claims of exploitation. So this mother escaped persecution from the Taliban, only to go to a country where they would be freer and still treat her daughter like the Taliban. That just goes to show you that these cultures are so indoctrinated and so baked into the cake that a mother would still do to her daughter what they were doing back, in Afghanistan or wherever these religions are. Basically, like I said, she sold her daughter. She sold her daughter, and the daughter was expected to perform like the slave that she is. And the daughter did not want to perform. She already knew what would go along with being married, and she didn't want to do it. And this mother forced her. At some point, that this woman got away, but she still took the same culture and became the oppressor to her daughter that the Taliban had been to the women and the girls, which led them to flee. This makes me so mad. I'm so upset for what girls and women are subjected to. But then when the women become the enforcers, when the mothers become the oppressors, it's just that much more of an offense. It's just that much more a betrayal. A mother doing this makes her the ultimate traitor. Y'all join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. So, obviously, with the Olympics going on right now, that is trending. So, this would be the perfect time to combine talking about the Olympics and sexism. So, this article was put out by The Guardian. It's titled Olympics Camera Operators Urged to Avoid Sexism in Filming Female Athletes. The fact that they have to actually be advised to not be sexist in filming them is terrible, but I'm glad that they are actually addressing these issues. The official Olympics broadcaster has urged camera operators to film male and female athletes in the same way to avoid stereotypes and sexism creeping into the coverage. The Paris Olympics are the first in the 128-year history of the modern games to reach gender parity among athletes, with women's sport also given more primetime broadcast spots to help raise its profile. With the games now in full swing, the head of the Olympic Broadcasting Services, or OBS, said his organization had updated its guidelines for camera operators, most of whom are men. OBS is responsible for the TV coverage of the Olympics, with its images shared with rights holders around the world. Unfortunately, in some events, women, are still being filmed in a way that you can identify that stereotypes and sexism remains, even from the way in which some camera operators are framing differently men and women athletes. The OBS chief executive, Yanis Exarchos, told reporters in Paris. Women athletes are not there because they are more attractive or sexy or whatever. They are there because they are elite athletes. He said the problem was mainly down to unconscious bias, with camera operators and TV editors tending to show more close up shots of women than men. A number of scheduling changes have been made by Olympics organizers in Paris to boost women's sport. The women's marathon is to be the final event of the Games instead of the men's race. The schedules of sporting events have traditionally been biased towards highlighting men's events, Exarchos said. Traditionally, in team sports, you have first women's finals and then the men's final. In strength and combat sports, traditionally, you have women's competitions in the morning and men's competitions in the afternoon. Marie Salois, the director in charge of gender equality at the International Olympic Committee, said the Paris Games were de facto the world's largest platform to promote gender equality and through sport. She pointed out the symbolic moments in the opening ceremony on Friday, with almost all delegations having a male and a female flag carrier, while the artistic show paid tribute to influential women in French history. When the ancient Greek Olympics concept was revived by the French aristocrat Pierre de Coubertin in the late 19th century, he saw it as a celebration of gentlemanly athleticism with female applause as its reward. In 1924, the last time the Olympics were held in Paris, just 4% of the competitors were women, and they were restricted to sports suitable for them, such as swimming, tennis, and croquet. I like how we are getting, or at least trying to get to, gender equality on a global scale, and how we're talking about it in a global platform. So, bravo to France for doing this, and bravo to highlighting that a lot of this sexism is baked into the cake of patriarchy. These men they may or may not be doing it on purpose, but like they said, it's unconscious bias. So I really appreciate that they actually are doing this and speaking out on it. Now we're going to talk about the volleyball uniforms. Paris Olympics. Fans are branded sexist as they lose their minds over detail about the women's beach volleyball, their uniforms, and how women have leggings on this year. Angry Olympics viewers have been called out as sexist after taking to social media to fume over beach volleyball players ditching bikini bottoms for leggings in Paris. Previously, women's beach volleyball players were forced to wear bikini bottoms, with the International Olympic Committee even mandating how skimpy they were, with official rules stating that they could not be more than 7 centimeters on the sides. That is a mess. And please, someone explain to me why they have to be skimpy for women. Like, what is the purpose of that? Those rules were torn up for the Paris Olympics, with athletes now allowed to compete in more modest leggings, creating a social media firestorm. Plenty of viewers have been labeled sexist and creeps for complaining about the absence of bikini bottoms purely because they wanted to gawk at the athletes. So I've had to watch blokes dressed as women at the opening ceremony, and now women wearing leggings in the beach volleyball. Worst Olympics ever, one posted. Added to the list of reasons as to why I'm not watching the Olympics, fumed another. Leggings in beach volleyball is a god D crime, raged yet another. There were also plenty of offensive and misogynistic comments that the Mail has elected not to publish. All right, so here is a picture of one of the women in her leggings, and this is what was rage inducing. Let's look at some of the comments. This is Nick. The real outrage is that they went to leggings in beach volleyball. Tia Cartel says in the 2024 Olympics, women's beach volleyball teams have adopted a new uniform policy allowing players to wear leggings instead of traditional bikinis, and the men are whining like little, probably B word. John F. Kennedy, and I'm sure it's not John F. Kennedy. Leggings in beach volleyball is a GD crime. Sonny says, shout out to the beach volleyball girls wearing leggings. Trillian says, they wearing leggings in beach volleyball? Marble says, Olympics women beach volleyball viewership just took a dive. They are really, really upset. Like literally, if they're just watching because they think that these bikinis are going to fall off, they obviously have some issues. Other viewers were quick to clap back and brand the mostly male social media users complaining about the change as sexist. It's about time the women's uniforms in volleyball matched the men's. The most sexist outfits in all of the Olympics were in women's beach volleyball, one posted. Congratulations to the female athletes who fought so hard to be able to wear pants while they play in volleyball, a second fan of modesty added. And into all the creepers who are disappointed. I'm sorry, it's supposed to say, and to all the creepers who are disappointed, gross, go away. They didn't want you watching anyway. So, why was the rule on beach volleyball attire changed in the first place? Some viewers have pointed out that the weather in France is not suitable for the skimpy bikini bottoms of the past. Temperature at night was in the 60s or 15 to 18 degrees Celsius, and it was raining all day. Kind of chilly at night, one explained. Okay, so they're going to allow people to actually cover up and because of the weather, not because it's sexist. This is odd, but whatever works. Have a look at what courtside people are wearing. It looks very cold. Australia was playing with jackets on, added another. And so this is the United States. Pairing of Sarah Hughes and Kelly Chang stuck with the previous style of uniforms despite the unseasonably low temperature in the Olympic City. Here at the bottom is an example of men wearing shorts and a tank top. Others said the fact that Australia was playing China may have had a bearing on their choice of attire. The weather was miserable, and it may also be simply because it's China and there is more cultural modesty, a viewer suggested. More viewers applauded the move, saying it was more practical for the athletes. Female volleyball players have talked at length about how those tiny bikini bottoms are distractions for them because they are constantly at risk of flying off when they dive into the sand. I'm shocked that leggings aren't standard. However, some believe it might be simply because the athletes were tired of being objectified. It's because they were tired of showing their vajayjays on television. The Egypt women took covering up to another level, wearing full sleeves and long pants along with hijabs because 90% of the population is Sunni Muslim. But some nations were still wearing the bikinis of the past, leaving viewers puzzled. I'm confused at the women's beach volleyball uniform. Some wear leggings, some wear the micro bikini, one posted. So I didn't know all this. I have not been watching. We don't yet have a TV, and I'm only keeping up with some of the news articles. But if you are watching, go ahead and weigh in. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the conversations about sexism, about the uniform change. Just go ahead and weigh in your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.